Dragon's true powers. Monkey D. Dragon, one of the most mysterious men in the One Piece series, the most wanted man actually. The highest bounty is kind of given to him, it's confirmed, and that's what's crazy because recently we've been seeing these Yonko commanders with bounties around the billion level. So imagine when we see Dragon's bounty higher than the Yonko's, probably because he's the most wanted man. There's a lot of people speculating that Dragon is the strongest character in One Piece. In my opinion, he's at least top 3 for me. I think it's minimum he's gonna be 3rd, but right now it could be anywhere. There's a lot of other strong character, so I'm not going to say he's the strongest, but I believe he's at least top 3 in my opinion. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, after the Blackbeard versus Dragon situation, a lot of people are saying Blackbeard defeated Dragon, Blackbeard's stronger than Dragon, and it's funny because I'm a Blackbeard fan. Blackbeard's my second favorite character, but I can't be biased. This Blackbeard versus Dragon situation reminds me of the Shanks versus Kaido situation, and I like Shanks more than Kaido, but I couldn't be biased. People told me that Shanks defeated Kaido, and I'm like, no, that's not what probably happened. It's probably that nobody actually got defeated. Nobody took an L in that battle. And that's the same thing I think about the Dragon versus Blackbeard. These characters are 2 top tier characters. To have them fight and one of them take a huge L off screen like that, I just don't see that happen. Especially Dragon, who we don't even know who his true powers are. That's why I'm making this whole video discussing what his true powers are. And I'll be honest, I've been doing a lot of research and this is kind of getting a lot of spooky stuff because I think I might have found out what Dragon's actual true powers are. Now, Dragon, when it comes to his family, he pretty much has, let's just say, a legendary family line. His father is Monkey D. Garp, pretty much the strongest Marine in my opinion, the Marine's hero. He fought Goldie Roger so many battles, and that kind of report, like the fact that Garp fought Roger so many times, and Garp was at that top level in his prime during the age of that era. Oh my goodness! And the fact that Garp uses his fist. Let's be honest here. Like, you definitely gotta respect that man because we haven't seen any fruit power. It looks like he's all just based on his arm and haki, and we saw what he did to Don Chinchao. I definitely feel like Garp is a very respectable character, and the fact that Dragons is his son, that's like respect for his lineage. We also know that he's the father to Monkey D. Luffy, the actual main character of this 20-year-long series, the future Pirate King, and that just says to me right now, whenever you see a character like, I'll give you another example, another series, Naruto. Naruto's father was the 4th Hokage. The 4th Hokage was so badass, so epic, so that just gives us high hopes that Monkey D. Dragon, like in other series, whenever you see a father of a main character, in all, like, most likely they're gonna be a badass character. Like in Hunter x Hunter, Gohan's father is Jing, a top 5 ninja. So I definitely want to say that Monkey D. Dragon being the father to Monkey D. Luffy, it already gives me expectations of him being a monster. And I definitely want to say this. It's funny, his relationship with Luffy, because Luffy doesn't even care about his father because of their relationship is so how do I say this, non-existent. But we do see Dragon come clutch at times, and I wonder what Luffy's mom is like. Is she a monster like Dragon too? Who knows? But I'm definitely interested. Now, there's a huge theory in the One Piece community. It's been going back for years on years. I think maybe 5, 6, even 7, maybe 10 years. I'm not too sure how long this theory has gone back. Is that Monkey D. Dragon is a former admiral. And I think this theory doesn't really make sense to me. People think, why does it not make sense to me? I think it's interesting, but I don't think it makes sense because we saw during when Goldie Roger was alive, we saw that Dragon was like, he had a hood on. He was not with the Marines at that time. He seemed like he was doing his own thing, and at that time the admirals were Sengoku, fleet admiral was Kong, and Garp was kind of an admiral, but he's just known as a vice admiral. We also know Z, I think Z stepped down at that time too. So definitely I do not think that Dragon was an admiral amongst these old legendary characters. As you've seen, he kind of looked younger, but I definitely think there might be a chance that Dragon is not an admiral, but more maybe like a rear admiral or a vice admiral, something around the level of that, because Kuzan, Sakazuki, and Kizaru, Borsalino were all vice admirals. I think Dragon might have left the Marines, but probably at a lower level, because if he was an admiral, people will call him the former Admiral Dragon. I think he probably was a rear admiral or captain, somewhere lower levels, but maybe he had a special relationship with characters like the former admirals, and that's where a lot of people have speculated a huge theory of his true powers. Yes, the first thing people tell me is the Win Logia. Yes, they say the Win Logia because if he was a former admiral or connected to the former admiral, admirals, all the former admirals pre-time skip had Logia abilities. We know Aokiji had the Ice fruit, Kizaru had the Glint fruit, and Akainu had the Magma. So definitely they think that he is a Wind Logia, and we saw some moments of him using wind, like in Logtown. That's the biggest moment when he saved Luffy from Smoker and sent a huge gust of wind so everyone was going chaotic. And we also saw in Great Terminal back in the time skip, the ASL time skip, when he saved everyone from Great Terminal. So I definitely believe that a wind power is likely, but Wind Logia, I'm just not too sure how it'll work. It's a good theory, but I just don't think it is that his power. And then there's Haki specialists. A lot of people tell me that characters who have no fruit power and just rely on their Haki are so badass. They give me examples of Shank. They give me example of Garp. They say characters are like Rayleigh. So I definitely believe Haki specialists are badass, and it gives you a lot of respect because they're at that level in which they don't even need a fruit. But still, I just don't think that's his only power. Yes, I believe that he's a Haki specialist, but I believe there's more to him, and his Haki seems amazing. I'll be honest here, his Conqueror's Haki, it might be the reason why he can do some crazy stuff, because in Lockdown we saw the Thunderbolt that came down to save Luffy. I definitely believe that was not coincidence. I believe that was actually done by Dragon. I think maybe his Conqueror's Haki is to the elite level that we saw Shanks use his Conqueror's Haki a little bit in the Whitebeard Shanks moment, and he was able to damage a ship. What if Dragon was able to change or manipulate the weather with his Conqueror's Haki? That would be so elite, so epic. So that gets me hyped to see what he has in store when it comes to his Haki. We've already seen another character have the ability to use a Haki to the next level and train it to that level. So there's definitely more to Haki that we just don't know about yet. Now, I'll be honest here. You're probably thinking, what do I think? If I don't think he's a Haki specialist, if I don't think he's a Wind Logia, what do I think his power is? And I'll be honest here, the thing that comes to my mind is a mythical Zoan. The Zoan, let's be honest here, the three classes, Paramecia and Logia, are getting more spotlight than the Zoans. The Zoans are hype, but they're not getting that spotlight. Now, we know the two most incredible Zoans that we've seen so far are Sengoku and Marco. They are mythical Zoans, and we know Kaido most likely will have maybe a mythical Zoan, just I'm assuming, but I believe there should be more and more hype Zoans to be revealed, and I believe that if Dragon had a mythical Zoan, it would be badass, and definitely his name might have to do with what fruit he has. His name is Monkey D. Dragon. Like, we've seen him actually use wind attacks in Lockdown and Great Terminal, and his actual protege Sabo used an attack that seems kind of similar. He used it was called, I believe, Dragon's Breath. He was able to use that crazy move in the Coliseum fight, and we also see Sabo, his protege, use Dragon Claw. Why is Sabo using these Dragon moniker names? I definitely believe the fact that Sabo was being trained by Dragon, there might be the reason why he's using that name. I don't think he's actually using the exact same moves as Dragon. I think he's trying to mimic a dragon because he's actually been training with an actual dragon, and that's the mythical Zoan type from Monkey D. Let me say it again, Dragon. Now, we've also seen some crazy connections because we know Vegapunk, Kuma, and Dragon have a huge connection there, and we saw Dragon tell Ivankov to calm down. He'll explain what happened there. But what if Vegapunk actually, because we know Vegapunk made a fruit that was in Punk Hazard that Momonosuke ate that turned him to an actual dragon, but it wasn't an actual stealth fruit, it was like a smile fruit. So I definitely believe, what if that fruit that Vegapunk made, it was not a smile fruit, but it was done by Vegapunk, a failure. What if that fruit was actually him trying to mimic an actual mythical Zoan he's seen before, maybe Monkey D's Dragon's transformation he's seen? Who knows? I definitely think that would be very cool. That's the connection from Momonosuke to Dragon and to Luffy, because we already seen Momonosuke and Luffy have a connection in Zou when it comes to the voice of all things and controlling Zonisha. Hype. Now, a huge theory I've seen in the internet is that Dragon has a Chinese mythical dragon, and the reason why people say this is because it actually is able to manipulate the weather. And I talked about how I hope this Conqueror's Haki might be able to manipulate the weather, but if his mythical Zoan transformation can actually manipulate the weather, we know Marco the Phoenix can heal himself. We know the Sengoku was doing some crazy shockwaves. If his to do with manipulating the weather, that would be incredibly hype, and I'll be definitely excited to see what he's able to do and how it'll look. Definitely, this actually seems kind of cool what I saw on the internet. Now, I want to talk about something real quickly. I'm not going to talk about it for a long time, but this is a crazy connection I've been thinking about. We know Kaido killed all of Moria's crew, and I've been always saying this. I believe that Kaido, the reason why he killed all of Moria's crew, because Kaido and Moria were rivals and they were battling it out, but one battle, Kaido just took the edge so easily. I believe Kaido in this battle awakened his fruit and became a monster, killing all of Moria's crew and leaving him alive. And the fact fact that he killed all of Mori's crew was so Mori could feel that pain, and I believe awakening definitely had to do with it. We also know another character of a crazy status did the same thing Kaido did before him. It was Goldie Roger. He killed all of Squardo's crew. Remember Squardo stabbing Whitebeard and the sadness he felt because Ace's lineage to Roger? I believe that I was always wondering, why did Roger kill Squardo's crew? I don't think, because Garp stated that Roger was an innocent, pure mind. He did reckless things, but he in his mind that he was more of a good guy. So I definitely believe that Roger maybe awakened his fruit and went crazy and killed Squardo, because we know Squardo is an older gentleman. What if he killed Squardo back in the young days, and Squardo always felt pain because of that, and it had to do with an awakening? Now, we've seen in Punk Hazard an actual process of a Devil Fruit transforming to go into another Devil Fruit. It was a smiley, and that was so interesting because I believe that definitely has to do with connections to actual real Devil Fruits after they are dead and what happens in the future. We know Doflamingo has great knowledge when it comes to Smile, and I believe Blackbeard with his Yami Yami no Mi, both these characters took Whitebeard and Ace's fruit in Marineford. But I believe the reason why they did is because they knew the process of after a fruit user dies, if you are near the area, you're able to actually how do I say this, get the fruit ability into a regular fruit. I believe maybe they know that, and that's just my speculation and theory when it comes to that. But that's the most spooky thing I want to talk about is actually Monkey D. Dragon, where he was when Goldie Roger died. During Goldie Roger's death, we saw a bunch of crazy pirates. We saw Shanks, we saw Mihawk, we saw Doflamingo, we saw Moria, we saw many characters, Buggy. Definitely a lot of characters were there. But one character that was the most crazy is because he was moving while everyone was just standing there watching. And that character was Monkey D. Dragon. We saw him with his hood. He didn't have a tattoo yet. What if Dragon was there to actually take Goldie Roger's fruit and further his goal of becoming, changing the world and is revolutionary? If he has Roger's fruit, it kind of makes sense. You're probably thinking, how did Dragon know about this? I believe Dragon's connection with Vegapunk. Vegapunk knows all about the fruits, so if he actually got told by Vegapunk early on in their days, that would be interesting and pure hype. And honestly, I will say this, awakening might have been witnessed by the world government. They might have seen Dragon's crazy awakening, and he might have revealed that he had Roger's fruit, and they're keeping it a secret, but they know that that's why they need to capture him. That's why his bounty is so high, and that's why he's the most wanted man and the most dangerous man. They're scared of that fruit that Roger holded. That would be intense. That would be crazy. And I know Akainu really wants to defeat him. We know Akainu, maybe there's theories that Akainu was connected to Roger and Dragon. I've seen crazy theories like that. But honestly, I believe Dragon's true powers, it goes with his name. I believe he's a mythical Zoan Dragon type. And this is just my thoughts. I know a lot of people think, oh, this is so crazy. This is so speculation. I'm disliking. I'm so angry. Yo, this is just a fun video. I'll be honest. When I discuss One Piece, I'm discussing One Piece because it's my favorite series. I discuss it. I do crazy things like this, but it's just a fun video. I'm not saying 100% this is what it is, but I definitely believe this might be a connection there. Tell me your thoughts. I want to ask you guys because I want to see your guys' speculation. What do you guys think Dragon's true powers are? Do you think he's a Haki specialist? Do you think he has no fruit power? Do you think he's a Wind Logia? I just want to ask you guys, what do you think? And maybe you agree with me, you think he's a mythical Zoan, but a different type of mythical Zoan. That's my question to you guys. Like and share if you enjoyed. Like and share only if you enjoyed. And subscribe for more One Piece content. I'm the Legend Mac, and I'm gone.